What up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your guy, Some. Hit the keys. Here today to give you guys my best 7 tips for beginner producers. Make sure if you guys do like this content, though, you drop a whole elbow on that like button, hit subscribe and that notification bell so every time we bring you guys a new video, you can be the first to see. But with no further delay, let's get right into these tips, baby. Some, hit the key. All right, guys, so my first tip for you guys today is definitely pick out a DAW, learn that DAW, and learn all those stock plugins. There's things that you should consider as you are picking a DAW. So if you're already playing instruments like a guitar or synthesizers or stuff like that, that you can route into a DAW, you might want to pick Ableton or something like that. But if you're just starting from scratch and you just want to learn how to program music in and you want to learn how to make beats, I would definitely recommend FL Studio. That's the DAW that I use. If you have a MacBook, you might want to look into Logic if you're recording. I would definitely spend the time to see which DAW benefits the most to your musical skill level, and then go from there. And then I would definitely recommend learning all the stock plugins, because if you learn how to use the stock plugins, it's not only going to save you money in the future, there's going to be plugins that you might not need to purchase because you're doing a good job with the stock plugins. So I always recommend learn those stock plugins, wait 6 months to a year before you decide if you're going to go buy some plugins, because it may be a waste of money. There is a ton of free plugins out there. I'll link a card in the corner to basically my top 20 free plugins. You can use a whole lot of free plugins and you can do a whole lot with free plugins and stock plugins before you start spending a bunch of money on paid plugins. Another reason why I suggest get to learn those stock plugins and learn all the tools that you have, because as bad as this may sound, not everybody's going to keep producing. So some people are going to produce, they're going to do it for a couple of months, and then they're just not going to want to do it anymore. If you spend all that money on plugins, it could be a waste of money for you. Plus the plugins aren't what's going to make your beat sound good. It's basically you, the time that you spend and all the stuff that you put into the beat is what's going to make the beat sound good. The plugins can help a little bit. The second tip that I have for beginner producers is don't go out and spend a bunch of money on gear, especially if you don't know if you're ever going to use it, and if you don't know how to use it and you don't know what you're doing yet. To start, if I'm just a producer, I might only invest in 2 pieces of equipment to start, and that's going to be headphones first, because that's going to be the most important, and then maybe like a little small MIDI keyboard controller. If you play the piano, then maybe a bigger MIDI controller, because you'll be able to play more of the keys. But those are the only 2 things that I would get to start. And then the MIDI keyboard is actually optional when you're first starting, like your first couple of months, because you can play notes on your keyboard, you can learn how to pencil stuff in, you can learn how to do a bunch of stuff. So I wouldn't recommend going out and spending $1,000 on a synthesizer, or getting the most expensive mic, or getting the most expensive monitors, or getting all this equipment that you see YouTubers, me included, using, because it took us time to get to the level where we're at. So I didn't start off with a bunch of synthesizers. I didn't start off with this mic. I didn't start off with the fanciest of stuff. I literally started off with a computer and a microphone when I got back into doing this YouTube channel. That's all I had, was some headphones, a computer, and a microphone, and the channel grew from there. So I can't stress enough, just get the tools that you need to get started, because that way you won't waste any money, you won't get frustrated, and you won't give up on something because you weren't ready to get it yet. The third tip that I have for you guys today is a big one to me. It's setting aside time daily in order to make music. So the only way you're going to get better is practice. Practice makes perfect, they say, right? So you should set aside at least an hour every day to work on music. So sometimes it may get frustrating because ideas aren't flowing and things aren't going, but the more time that you put in, the easier it gets. I know you guys watch YouTube channels, you can see streams and stuff where I'm making a beat in 30, 40 minutes, or other YouTubers or anybody else, any Twitch streamer, you see them making these beats in 20, 30 minutes. It's not because they were born with the talent to make a beat in 20, 30 minutes. It's because every day they practice, and they practiced every day until they got to the point where they could see how to make a beat faster. They know how to make a beat faster. They know where drums are going to go on the channel rack. They know how melodies are going to be put together. They know how to arrange a beat real quick. They know how to mix a beat real quick. All those little elements take time. And the only way that you're going to be able to perfect that and get that done is if you set aside time every day and you honestly go into the studio and you honestly put in that work. The fourth tip that I have for you guys today is kind of controversial. I don't know why it is, but you should definitely learn some music theory. I'm not telling you have to learn every chord. I'm not telling you have to know everything about music theory. But if you learn some music theory, it is really going to help you put these beats together because you'll understand how notes go. You'll understand where to put your bass on the beat. You'll just understand how things flow together. You'll understand why sounds are sounding good together or why this key, why this note doesn't sound good right here because it's clashing with another key or another note. Or just little things that are going to actually help your production. It's going to help the speed of your production, and it's going to help your music sound better. So take me, for example. I don't fully know music theory. I don't. But I know enough music theory to where I can put together a beat, I can cook something up, and I know it's going to sound good because musically, everything's going to go together sonically, if that makes sense. The fifth tip that I have for you guys today is basically finish your projects. So if you start a project, finish the project. Don't just leave incomplete projects not done, because what that's doing for you is if you finish the project, then you get in the routine of finishing every single beat that you do. So then it's not a problem. Again, you're a beginner. You know, I'm not a beginner, but not every beat that I make, I like. But I finish every beat, so I have a routine so that I know it just becomes easier. So going back to setting aside time and all that other stuff, if you're finishing all your projects, that routine will force you to finish the next project and finish the next project and finish the next project. So you don't have just a hard drive full of incomplete projects and then you're frustrated and then you want to give up. No, at least you have something to show for your work. If you finish those projects, it's going to make you more confident in the next product that you work on. The sixth tip that I have for you guys today is also very important. Basically, you want to seek out feedback, but don't flood your friends with your music. So yes, you want to share your music with your friends, but you don't want to annoy the crap out of your friends with your music. You know, there is a fine line between asking for somebody's critique and just making somebody listen to some music that might not be the greatest yet because you have just started. So what I would recommend is I would reach out into these communities of all these producers and, you know, all of us folks right here and get into their communities and start sharing music with other producers and other musicians, because other musicians can give you guys a perspective that maybe your friends can't give you. So your friends may listen to one of your beats or one of your songs and they don't understand why it doesn't sound the way that the radio sounds. So to them, the song just might not sound good because it's not mixed well. Or, you know, it could be sound selection or the beat could be trash. It is what it is, you know. Hey, we all make trash beats every once in a while. But when you're getting into communities with other musicians, a musician can tell you, hey man, that high frequency on that bell is a little too high. You know, why don't you put a shelf on there? Or why don't you cut the frequencies from here? Or they might tell you, hey, that drum's not thumping as much as it should. Why don't you go ahead and send it out to a bus and then put some kind of, you know, parallel processing on that bus to make the drum hit a little bit harder. Or they might tell you, hey, that piano sounds fake. You can find another piano. Here's some free piano plugins that you can use. And so there's other things that you can get from being in a community of musicians, because musicians can tell you things that are going to make your music sound better. They're not going to just tell you something generic like, oh, this doesn't sound like Lil Baby's beat, or oh, this doesn't sound like whoever's kind of beat, because you may just want to make boom bap beats, but your friend may only listen to trap music. So his opinion on your beat is going to be a little bit off because it's not the same kind of music that he listens to as well, so on and so forth. It could go for any genre. So again, we want our friends to hear our music. Obviously, we want our friends to accept our music, but I wouldn't spam my friends with my music, and I wouldn't hold my friends accountable to give me good critiques on the music when ultimately we're at a beginning stage and we're still trying to learn how to mix and how to arrange beats and how to do all these other things to make the beat sound better. And the last tip that I have for you guys today is, when you're beginning, don't focus on selling beats and don't focus on trying to get placements. When you're in your first 3 to 6 months of making music, you're probably not going to sell a bunch of beats and you're probably not going to get a bunch of placements because you're still learning the craft. So what I would recommend is enjoy the process. Enjoy making those whack beats. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy making the beats that aren't the strongest, because all those beats are going to make you better. So don't get caught up in that. I would definitely say enjoy the process. Start to love making music. Start loving the process of arranging beats. Start loving the process of mixing beats. Start loving the way different sounds sound. Start loving the way that you can manipulate a beat and a sound when you're making these beats. And that's going to make you love music so much better or so much more. And it's going to make you want to do more with music. And so the more you love this, the more you're going to do, the more time and effort you're going to put into it, just like anything else. If you got a favorite video game and you love that video game, you probably play that game more than any other game because you love it. Think about music like this. The more that you love this craft and you love this art, the more you're going to get into it and the more your soul's going to come out into this music and the better overall product you're going to put together. And then that's going to get you to the point to when you can start selling beats, because now it's like second nature. Now you're putting out fire stuff. Now you're ready to put your beats or your music on Spotify. Now you're ready to put your music everywhere for people to hear because you've refined your sound and you've refined your skills, and now you're a beast. So that's what I got for you guys today, 7 tips. I hope they can help any of you guys out there. Make sure if you guys do like this content though, you drop a whole elbow on that like button, hit subscribe and that notification bell so every time we bring you guys a new video, you can be the first to see. Appreciate you guys' time as always. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Some, hit the key.